Good morning, good morning. Did everybody make it through Monday? Tell you what, Monday is not no fun sometimes, y'all. You end up with all kinds of things at work, so. I don't think I need cutting mat today. Let some people join in today, because we're gonna have some fun. We are going to have some fun. We're gonna be making bears. We're going to be making bears this morning, so. Good morning, Miss Lisa. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. How was your Monday? Hopefully your Monday was okay. Mine was a little hectic. I'm still waiting on a non-hectic day. One of these days, it's going to be a non-hectic day. Good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. It's fun. You're going to have everybody helping you out this week, so you'll be having everybody. Well, good. Good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to just give it a couple more minutes. We're going to let everybody join, or at least a few people get on here, because we're going to do those bears today. I hope all y'all went out and got those, got that free pattern. I posted the free pattern with the link in there, and we're going to be sewing bears today. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We're going to have some fun today, guys. One thing that I did forget to show you guys, so I don't put buttons on my eyes. You guys can do buttons on your eyes for the eyes of the bears. I do embroideries on the eyes, and I'm going to show you all how to do those embroideries today. The design that I got some from Grand Slam Designs. I actually got it off of Etsy. So good morning. Good morning. So I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes here, and we're going to get started, because we're going to do two bears. We're going to do two bears. I'm going to try and do two bears at the same time, y'all. So I went out and grabbed my bag of stuffing. So went out and grabbed the bag of stuffing, because we need stuffing, y'all. We need stuffing for these bears. Y'all excited to make bears? Are we excited to make bears? Because I think you're going to find out that they're pretty easy. They're pretty easy. Once you make one, you're going to be like, I can make a few of these. I can make a few of these. I got kids. I got grandkids, nieces, nephews. Y'all, I've made hundreds of bears. I've made so many bears, it's not even funny. So, but I'm so glad that my grandmother shared the pattern with me, because I tell you, it's lots of fun. And more of the patterns all pretty much, you know, kind of the same, you know. So I've made yes, absolutely. You got to make them for your grandkids. And like I said, we're going to do two bears, because I want to make sure that you guys are comfortable in making bears. I want to make sure you're comfortable in making bears. And we may do another live in a few weeks or something and making bears again, you know, because I want y'all to be able to make bears. I want you to be able to make bears. Y'all, we had fun yesterday. Did we not have fun yesterday? These were fun. That was fun, right? So I was excited after yesterday's live, because I was like, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Okay, we are going to get started. So with the bears, you need to get everything cut out. And like I said, I posted that free pattern for y'all. So I actually have two bears. I have two bears. So what you're going to start with to do these bears is you need to start with the head. Everything starts with the head on these. So you're going to have, this piece right here is the front. So this is your nose. So this is the front of your bear. So you'll find that piece. You're going to find your ears. So these are the ears. You're going to have a front and a back on these ears. So you're going to need 4 pieces of the ears. So you'll find these pieces here. And then you're going to need your side. So this is the side of your bear head. So you need those. So you have 2 sides here. So you need those. And then you'll need the back of your head. So then you'll need 2 of these. So this is the back of your head. So I'm going to set the rest of this to the side. like I said, we're going to do 2 bears. So we're going to sew 2 bears at the same time. So I'm going to grab these again. So like I said, you need your ears. So you need the front and back of your ears. So you need those ears. So I'm going to grab those. Somehow or another, I didn't cut 2 of those. So we're doing frogs. We're doing a frog bear. So we're doing a frog bear, and then we are doing a ocean bear. So we're doing, like I said, when you cut these bears out, have fun with it. You know, my kids used to say, I want a truck bear. Okay, not a problem. Find some truck fabric, and that's kind of fun, and make a truck bear, you know. Or I want a deer bear. So you find some fabric that got deer on it and make a bear with deer on it. You can literally make any theme you want to. You can add embroideries to the belly. We won't have time to do that today, but you can add embroideries to the belly. You can, there's so much stuff that you can do to these things. So, again, you need 4 little pieces of the ears, because you need a front and back on the ears. So you need 2 of the back. So you need 2 pieces for, this is the back of the head here. You need the nose. So this is your nose. So this is the front of your head. And then you need 2 of the side pieces. So this would be, so this is the side of your head. So, okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set, because like I said, we're doing 2 bears. So I'm going to set that aside. So first thing first. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do the ears. So what you do is you take your 1 earpiece. So like I said, you have this earpiece, and then you're going to take the coordinating fabric, and then you're going to sandwich these together, right sides together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew around. You're going to leave that bottom open. You're going to leave the bottom open because you got to stuff those with some batting. Or not batting, stuffing. I'm going to be saying batting all day. You watch me. So we're going to sew around, leave the bottom open. And we need to do both sides. And like I said, we're going to do this twice, because I have the other one here. Like I said, I'm going to be explaining it twice. That way we get it across. So we have the one main fabric, and then you have your coordinating fabric. You sandwich those together. And once you sandwich those together, we're going to sew around like that, and then we're going to leave the bottom open. So let's go to the sewing machine. We're going to take these over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew all 4 of these ears. We're going to sew all 4 of these ears, y'all. Okay. Walkabout. Going on walkabout. If y'all have questions, stop me, because we have plenty of time. I promise. We have plenty of time to create a bear here. Plenty of time. And if y'all are just joining and new to the live, we're doing a bear today. If you want the pattern, I have posted my grandmother's pattern. It's free. Click on the link in my bio. You'll see the pattern. So again, we have the ears here. So we have the main fabric and your coordinating fabric, and these are the ears. So we're going to sandwich these together, and there's 2 sets. There's 2 sets, because you got to have 2 ears, right? Got to have 2 ears. So then we're going to take and we're going to stitch around here, just around the edge. Don't stitch that bottom. Don't stitch that bottom, because we got to stuff it with some stuffing there. So let's come over here. I'm going to turn that speed down just a little bit. So we're going to come in here and just put it to the width of your foot there, and then we're going to just stitch it around here. And just let your feed dog pull it around, and it'll pull that fabric around the ear. So there's that ear, and then we're going to come here and we're going to grab this ear. We're going to do the same thing. And so we're going to do 2 of everything. That way you guys are able to see it all. So we're going to stitch the width of the foot, let the feed dog pull it around, and it'll pull it around that half circle there. It's kind of what that is a half circle. We'll go ahead and do these other 2. Again, you're taking your main fabric and your coordinating fabric and sandwiching those right sides together. Sandwiching those right sides together there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, just as long as we get it stitched and You'll find that I am not a perfectionist, y'all. I am not a perfectionist, but I say that's what makes it homemade. It's not perfect, so. All right. Last one here. Get back there. So we're going to go right around the edge of that ear there. Okay. We'll go back to the cutting mat here. Thanks for the heart me's. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. So again, we're making bears this morning. If you didn't get the pattern, click the link in my bio. The free pattern is there for you guys. The free pattern is there for you guys. So now what we're going to do is you've sewn the ear together. So now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it inside out. We need to turn these inside out. Turn these inside out here. So you've got an ear. So you now have an ear. So we'll turn all these inside out because then we're going to stuff them. And this is the only spot you're going to stuff until the end. So you're going to get these stuffed here first. And then you won't use stuffing again until you actually got it all sewed together. So then you have your other ear. I'm going to turn all these inside out here, guys. This is going to be the cutest bears. The cutest bears, guys. Okay. So then ears. Like I said, we're making a frog bear. And we're making a one that's got the ocean. One with the ocean theme. And when we get to the bigger pieces of fabric, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's got turtles. It's got turtles. Okay. So now what you do, just grab some batting. And you don't really want to put too much batting in these. So you just take these, just take a little bit of the batting. And you just shove it in here. So you just shove it in there like this. So you just, it just gives you that little bit of an ear there. And we're going to use clips. Where'd my clips go? So we're going to use clips. That's the wrong kind of clip there. So we're going to clip this because we'll have to go back to the sewing machine and sew these. So we'll just clip those. So like again, so you take your ear, just a little bit of batting, just a little bit, just enough to give it a shape there. And then you're going to push this batting into here. Once you get it in there, you just put a clip on there. We're going to use clips. We're using clips today. I tell you, now that I have clips, I'm like, oh, heck yeah, we're using clips, y'all. We're using clips. Okay. So then we have that one. So we'll go ahead and do the other one here. Again, just a small piece, just a small piece. And you'll get it when you add it in there, you're going to be like, oh, okay. You can feel, you can make them because you can really stuff it in there and make them really stiff. I don't like to do that. I just like to add just a little bit just to give it that shape. So, but it's your bear. It's your bear. You make it however you want. So we're going to clip that. So we got these clipped, and then I got one more ear here. Like I said, we're doing two bears. We're doing two bears, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out this morning. Happy Tuesday to you. I hope everybody had a wonderful Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful Monday. Mine was a little crazy, but that's okay. That's okay, y'all. Get that one stuffed. Da-doom. Okay, so that one's all stuffed. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the rest of my head. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to grab the rest of my head, and I'm going to take the rest of my head over to the sewing machine because we are going to be stitching the rest of it. But before I go there, like I said, I do embroidery eyes. So I'm going to flip this around. So I add eyes to my bears. Good morning, Robin. How are you doing? So I add eyes to my bears. This is the ones that that I embroidery on there. You can add buttons. You can add whatever you want to on your bears. So, hold on. We have a flash go. Start that flash go. Oh, how cool is that? So it goes along with the bears. How cool is that? So this design is actually from Grand Slam Designs. It's a teddy bear face. So that's what I use. So, but I you'll have to watch how I embroidery it because I do it a little different. So, because the nose, you can't put the nose where they have the nose. You're going to have to pull it a little down. So I will show y'all how to do that. I will show y'all how to do that. But I want to make sure that you guys know what design I'm using. I didn't create this design. So we're going to take the bear over to the sewing machine here. So I'm going to put, good morning, good morning. Okay, so I can put this here. If anybody's just joining, we are doing a bear today. If you want the pattern, I have got the pattern in the link in my bio there. So we had lots of fun yesterday, y'all. That was fun making the, that was a lot of fun making that. So, okay. So we're not going to do the back of the head. We are going to do, so you have the two side pieces. You have the two side pieces here. So what you're going to do is you have these sandwiched here. And you'll see this comes down like this. So this right here is where we're going to sew. So we're going to sew this down right here. And just as an FYI, we're going to be taking it back out when we do that embroidery, but we got to get it sewed together first. So we're going to actually stitch right down here, right sides together. Make sure right sides are together. And we're going to stitch right down there. I'm going to grab the other one here. That way we can do both of them. So you'll see right sides together. Put that there. And then we're going to stitch across. So let's go ahead and stitch these across. I'm going to grab this one, stitch it across here. Okay, so now we have the two sides of the head here. So now we need to add the nose. We need to add that nose. It's like, this is too complicated. It's not, I promise. It's not too complicated. So now what we're going to do, I want to make sure that I'm grabbing the right piece here. That goes there. This comes here. Okay. So now you have the nose piece. You want to get this piece out right here. You only have one of these. This is the only one that you actually only have one of. So you want to grab that piece right there. Once you grab this piece right here, you're going to take this that you've just sewed together. So you've just sewed this together. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to pin it. So you're going to line up the top edge right here. You're going to line that top edge right here. And this one you need pins, y'all. This one you need pins. I don't think I want to try it with clips. So we're going to pin this here. And we're going to come to the other side and I'm going to pin the top here. Get that one pinned right there. And I'll show you again. Like I said, we're doing two of these. That way, you know, I can explain this twice. So we have both tops pinned and then you come down and you kind of pin around. Oops, get back here. Get back here. And then on the bottom, you have that center stitch here. You have that center stitch. So you want to kind of center the center piece of that nose. Because this is the nose, guys. This is where the nose is going to be. So what I do is I take and I fold that stitch down like this. So I fold that stitch down, center that there. And then what I do is I take a pin and I pin right there. So I'll pin right there. You're going to be taking lots of pins out when you sew this. This is the hardest part of this bear, y'all. This is the hardest part of the bear. Once you get past the head, you're good. It is a bear. It is a bear. So we are doing 2 bears today. If you want the pattern, I have posted a free pattern for you in the link in my bio. So you're very welcome, Sharon. You're very welcome. Happy Tuesday to you. Okay, so now we are going to pin around the rest of this bear. And you really want to pin this one. Some things I don't pin, but this you have to pin, otherwise it doesn't come together very well. So you want to make sure you get it pinned. That way it comes all together. So I think I ended up, I'm going to pin on the top because pinning on the bottom was not working very well. Okay. So then we come around, get it all pinned, and it lines up. I promise you, it all lines up. Okay, so we got it all lined up. So let me show you again. Like I said, we're doing 2 bears. That way I can show you guys twice. So you have your side of your head. You see the turtles, guys? We have turtles. So you have the side of your head, and then you have your nose. So this is the nose, guys. So this is like right there. This is what the nose on here. So now what we're going to do is you have your 2 sides that you just sewed together. And then this is the really not a right or wrong on the side of this fabric. So, but it's your coordinating fabric. So what you want to do is you want to have this facing you. You want to have this facing you, and you want to make sure that the right sides go there. So you're going to line up that top edge right there. Line that top edge right there, and then pin it. You want to pin that top edge. And then you want to come to the other side. So you're grabbing the other side. And I'm going upside down, aren't I? Yep, I'm going upside down. I'm going upside down. So, just as an FYI for you, so you don't mess up. So you see how this is like that? So at the bottom of this right here, so at the bottom you have a curved edge. That's the bottom, that's your neck. So that's the bottom of your head. So when you have it facing you, make sure, all right, Lisa, have a good day. Make sure you have it facing this way with that like that. That way you're pinning it the right way. Otherwise it gets pinned upside down. So we're going to have it this way. And then you're going to take and pin right side together right here. And we're going to pin right there. Like I said, once you do it a couple times, you'll get it. And then we're going to take the other side and pin and line up right there. And then I come down here and I line up the middle of here with the bottom. I line up the middle here with that bottom there. That way we'd have the middle of the nose, and I fold that seam out. I fold that seam out right there. That way you're stitching it open there. Is it right or wrong? Not really. It's all preference there. It's all preference. So then you just take and you pin this together around here, because it's going to it'll sew, as you see. It all lines up. It all lines up there. So once we get this stitch, you'll see. You'll see. Go there. So then we're going to pin on the other side. Because a lot of times I just make sure that I line up and then you sew right around. But it tells you to pin, so I thought I'd tell you guys. You know, my grandmother was always like, you got to pin everything. And I'm like, no, Mom, Grandma, you don't have to. It's okay. So, all right. So let's go ahead and go. And we're just going to stitch. So you're going to stitch around, and then you're going to come down here, stitch here, and then you're going to turn it and then come all the way back around. So let's go ahead and stitch this. I'm going to move that over there. Like I said, this is the hardest part of the bear, y'all. This is the hardest part of the bear. So we're going to take that one pin out. and I back stitch this one right here, the top here. And you want to make sure that you're not sewing the other side of the bear, y'all. You want to just make sure that you just have 2 layers in there that you're sewing. So in this one, you'll see you're going to kind of line that fabric up. And you're going to turn around here. Don't sew over the needle. I know you can. Make sure you have your needle where it stays down. That way it's holding that fabric down there. That way it's holding the fabric down there. And so this is the hardest part. Once you get past this part, the rest of the bear is easy. Adding that nose is like, man, why you gotta be such a pain? So you unpin it and just make sure that the fabric is lined up. Give it a back stitch right there. So then when you pull it out, you have the nose of the bear, guys. You have the nose of the bear. Is that not cool? That is the coolest thing, right? Very cool. So now we'll go ahead and do the other one. We'll go ahead and sew that other one. So like I said, so you pinned it at the top here. You pinned it at the top, and then you come all the way around. You're going to stitch all the way around. Like I said, just make sure that the fabric is lined up, because it's exactly the exact right size to go ahead and line up and then sew all the way around. You just want to make sure that you're not grabbing this fabric when you're stitching it. You want to make sure you're not grabbing that fabric when you stitch it. So let's go ahead and stitch this one too. We'll go ahead and get this one stitched. And again, guys, if you guys are just joining, we're doing bears. I did post my grandmother's pattern for free on the link on my bio, so go grab it if you like. That way you can make a bear too. I want everybody to be able to make bears. You got to make bears for the kids, the grandkids, everybody out there. Everybody needs a bear. Y'all, I bet I made a couple hundred of these bears one year. It was crazy. I've always made them for the kids, and the kids always like themed bears. They're like, Mom, I want a truck bear. I think it was Damon, my youngest. He's like, I want a truck bear. So he had a truck bear. I made a dinosaur bear. I've made them all kinds of bears. I just made my my one granddaughter. It was funny because this year for gifts, I made bears for the grandkids for gifts this year for their birthdays. And then my one granddaughter calls me. She goes, I want to put my order in. And y'all, she's 5 years old. And she's like, I want to put my order in. I'm like, order in for what? And she goes, I know you're making me a bear for my birthday. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she goes, I want a Barbie bear. So, but she also wanted unicorns. So I had to figure out how to make a Barbie bear with unicorns, y'all. It turned out really cool. You have to check. There's a video of it on my bio that you can find, but it turned out really cool. So you just stitch around. Like I said, just keep the fabric lined up. As long as you keep the fabric lined up. We're going to take these out. Okay. So now we have, yeah, the Barbie one turned out really cool. So you've stitched all the way around here like this. And then when you turn it out, looky there, you have a nose. Like I said, this is the hardest part of this bear. Once you get past this part, not a problem. Not a problem. So we're going to add the eyes. So we're going to add the eyes before we do anything else. So I do embroidery eyes, guys. So I like to do the embroidery eyes. I got it off Etsy. It's a Grand Slam design. It's called Teddy Bear Face. Teddy Bear Face embroidery design. So, but if you don't have an embroidery machine, you could, right now is when you want to sew those buttons on. You want to sew those button eyes on, and the button nose. They have button nose that you could put on, and then button eyes. So we're going to go ahead and do those embroidery eyes. But I know we just stitched this, guys. but now we're gonna grab my seam ripper and we're gonna take out part of the bottom here. Let me grab my seam ripper because you want it to lay flat. You want it to try kind of lay flat. So we're gonna go back, and at the bottom here, we're gonna remove most of this stitch here, and then we'll have to come back and sew it again. Here, let me show you. Let me show you. That way you guys can actually search the right one here. Flip this camera. So this is the one. So it is Teddy Bear Face Machine Embroidery Design. And you can see it's made by Grand Slam Designs. It's on Etsy. So this is the face that we'll be adding. This is the face that we'll be adding to it. So turns out very cute, guys. Turns out very cute. So Teddy Bear Face. And y'all, I don't add this bottom smiley place. I just add the nose. I just add the nose. I leave out that the smile. So I add the eyes and then the nose. So, and I'll show y'all how we do that. But Etsy design. So that's the one that I use. So let me flip you guys back around because we're gonna get because I have it saved in my embroidery machine. I used it so much that I have it literally saved in my embroidery machine. So, but what you're going to do is, so you have your bear face. You've created your bear face, but now we need to add those eyes. In order to add those eyes and the nose, you got to come back on the bottom where you stitch this bottom. We're going to take part of it out. We're going to take part of it out, and I'll show you guys once we get it in the hoop why I do that. I wished I had my sticky stabilizer. So they have some stabilizer for your embroidery hoop. It's sticky. So you load it in there, and then you can actually stick what you've got embroidering right to the stabilizer. And it works phenomenal doing the eyes, but I don't have any. So we're going to make do. We're going to make do. So you're going to take, so you don't want to take it all the way out. You want to leave just a little bit. See how you're leaving just a little bit there? So you're going to leave that there, but it makes it where you can actually fold it out and you'll be able to embroidery. So you kind of just center right here. You'll put one eye here and one eye here. And you'll see once we load it in there, I'll show you guys how we do that. I kind of cheat. I kind of cheat because I have a projector on my screen. If you don't have a projector on your screen, is what you could do is actually run the stitch out on a piece of fabric and then lay it out. And then that way you know where it's going to go. And that way you know where it's going to go on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this hooped. Let me see, what hoop are we going to use? Thinking we're going to use this magnetic hoop. And I'm going to use that mesh stabilizer, guys. I'm going to use the mesh stabilizer. So I'm going to use a magnetic hoop. Like I said, you don't have to do this. If you don't have this, get your buttons out, guys. This is where you need to sew those buttons on. We got to get the buttons sewed on for the eyes before we move on to the next step. Before we move on to that next step, we gotta do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hoop. Get this one in here. All right, so I've hooped the stabilizer. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay. So I've hooped that stabilizer. So what we're going to do is we're going to load it in the machine, and then I'm going to show you guys how I actually do it. And like I said, if you don't have a projector on your screen, projector is a lifesaver. But if you don't have a projector on your screen, sew this out on an actual stabilizer. Take a piece of stabilizer or add a piece of fabric to it also, and then go ahead and stitch it out. Don't forget to draw your lines inside of there and then cut it out. And then that way, when you're laying your piece of fabric in there, you know exactly where that's going to go. You know exactly where it's going to go. That way, and with that one, you'll have to do 2 hoopings because you're going to put your eyes, and then the nose is in the wrong space on this embroidery design. So you have to move it down and put it actually where the nose, well, I'm saying right there, but you know what I mean. I'll show you what I mean. So let's get this hooped. Stay there. Stay there. Like I said, This is the hardest part of the bear design. Once we get past this, we're good to go. We're good to go. So I'm going to come back here. Like I said, I'm going to flip you around. And if you guys want to know, I am using a Luminaire 2 on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back home and I'm going to go to my embroidery designs. And I'm going to pull up the pocket. So, and as you see, we're going to scroll down because I have this one saved in here. So I got this one saved because I think they're both the same. They're pretty much the same. Okay, so we're going to set that. So we have our design there. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to load the hoop. And when I unload that hoop, I'm going to click that projector here. Put you there. I'm going to flip you guys back around just for a moment because I'm going to load the hoop. So you got to remember when you load the hoop, I always hold on to the arm. That way when you're pushing it in there, it doesn't move it. It doesn't move. So this is where this projector comes into play. So you see the eyes on there? So I actually have the eyes in there. So you can actually see exactly where these eyes are going to go. So what you do is you kind of line them up as best as you can. And we're gonna move this up because let's move you up because that's like at the bottom of the hoop. Because I think we can actually do both of our designs here. Let's move you up here. Okay, so we're gonna come up here. Okay, so you guys see those eyes there? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stabilize. That's from my machine. This is from my machine. So I'm using a Luminaire 2. And the Luminaire 2 actually has that projector on it. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow. So you'll see these eyes in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line them up and I'm going to tape it down. And I remember yesterday I had showed you guys medical tape, y'all. Just get you some of that paper medical tape. It works phenomenal for embroideries. So because you can sew right through it if you have to. And it keeps it down there. So let me go ahead and flip this around. Once we get past this point, the bear stitches together really quick, y'all. But we got to add eyes. We have to add eyes. So we're going to come back this way. I'm going to go ahead and line it up here. And I'm going to tape it down. Like I said, they have a sticky stabilizer that you can use. And y'all, that stuff's a lifesaver. Because it actually keeps your fabric right where you put it. So tape this over here. And a lot of times you just hold it in there. So, but as I'm going to show you guys, so there in the design, you'll see that there's a nose also. But look, that nose is in the wrong spot. It needs to be down here. So like I said, you would do 2 hoopings if you don't have a projector. Create yourself that that template down there, and then you would move it on there. But with this one, we can stitch the eyes out, and then we can come back and do that nose. Then we can come back and do that nose. So let me flip this back around and I'll show you guys. And I can show you guys, I'll have to show you how to do a template too. So we're going to say okay. And so first thing it's going to stitch is the eyes. So we're going to pull this out. I need white. Load white here. Like I said, you can do button eyes. You don't have to do embroidery eyes. I did button eyes for a long time, but with the little ones, I like to do the embroidery eyes. So I like to hold the fabric down when it stitches this one. That way it gets that first stitch down there and it connects it to the stabilizer. Good morning. Thanks for joining. If you're just joining, we are making bears here, y'all. We're doing the eyes right now. We're getting the eyes put on here. Once we get these eyes and nose, we'll continue down that path of sewing these. If you're just joining, we have the bear pattern is in the bio. If you click the link in the bio, you'll see that bear pattern. So, and like I said, there's no charge, free pattern. Go grab that pattern. We'll get the eye stitched. So it'll do that white and then it'll come and do the black. So thanks for the follows, y'all. Thanks for the follows. I say we're adding eyes here. And this one's a frog bear. The other one is a turtle bear. But yeah, I like to do embroidery eyes because of the embroidery eyes. You have your little ones that like to put things in their mouth, and somehow or another they immediately go for those eyes and pull those eyes off. So this way you don't have to worry about them doing that. So I got it off of Etsy. I'll show you guys. It's actually a Grand Slam design, but if you Google teddy bear face embroidery design, you'll see that. But I'll show you that file here too. When we go back to the table, I'll show you guys that one. So now you're going to hold this down again because it's going to come over here and do this other eye here. While it stitches this, I can go over, I'll go over and show you that file again. I just want to make sure that we're, okay, so we should be good. You try and get it to the exact same spot. Sometimes it don't center up, sometimes it doesn't center up, but let me come back over here. I'll show you guys as it's stitching that white. We'll flip this camera back around. So this is the design I'm using. I got it on Etsy. So you'll see that is the design. It's on Etsy, but Google teddy bear face machine embroidery design. You'll be able to find it. And like I said, it's made by Grand Slam Design. Grand Slam Designs has some awesome designs. They have some awesome designs there, y'all. This back up here. So what we'll do is we'll get the white stitched and then we will move on to that black thread. We'll move on to that black thread. Appreciate all y'all joining this morning. Like I said, we'll get the eyes stitched up, and then once we get these eyes stitched up, we will we'll move on and start sewing the rest of the bear together. This is the hardest part, is getting the face done. I mean, we've already done the hardest step. That hardest step was getting that nose in the side of the head. That was the hardest part. So now what we'll do is we're gonna grab this thread, black thread. Where you at? That should be enough. Should be enough. So we're gonna have to move ahead our embroidery design because it wants to start down there on that nose. So I'm going to show you guys how we do that. Does it automatically stop? So it stops now. So it stops on the color changes. So luckily the white, you know, you have your white, it does the white of your eyes. And then that's what I was going to show you here. So it does the white of your eyes. And then if you see here, it wants to do the bottom of that face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button down here that increases the stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going ahead So I use the 10. Thank you for the smiley. Good morning, Miss Jackie. So we're going to move ahead, and we want to get past that nose because we don't want to do the nose yet. We want to get past that nose, and then we want to do the inside of the eyes. So we'll keep going. Like I said, you just hold that plus 10 down, and then it'll get past the nose and move back up to the eyes. And we'll come back to the nose because we're going to do that nose. We just don't want to put it where it's at. So we'll keep going, and getting close here. So and around. Oh, come back. So we're gonna go back because we want to make sure we get. Okay, so now we're on the eyes. So now we're, oops, that like crazy. Okay, so now it went back. I do have a YouTube channel, and I repost all my lives. I repost all of my lives on my YT. So if you click the link in my bio, you'll see my YT page, my FB page, and my website. So yes, I will repost this. You'll see this reposted on there. So, all right. So now what we're going to do, like I said, we moved past the nose, but we're going to go back to the nose, but we want to get the eyes done first. Once we get those eyes done, we'll come back and restart this design and go back down to the nose. We'll go back down to that nose. So we're going to come in here, and we are going to go ahead and start stitching this. And again, if you guys are just joining, I have posted this pattern for free. This is my grandmother's pattern, and I'm sharing it with you guys. I am sharing this pattern with you guys. So we'll get these all stitched out, and then we'll keep sewing. Happy Tuesday, Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie's my lovely daughter-in-law. I love her lots. She is awesome. Good morning, Miss Debbie. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you, Miss Jackie. So we'll get these all stitched out. So we'll add this. So what it's going to do is it'll add this, and then it'll go up and add the eyelashes and everything. So it's kind of cool how this turns out. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I repost all my videos, all my lives here. I take and download them and repost them over on the YT page so you guys can see them again. Because I know sometimes on the live we kind of go a little fast, but you want to be able to pause it and be like, okay, I'm at that point now. So now it's adding those eyelashes. She has extended eyelashes here. So we're going to add these eyelashes. Trim this. Awesome, awesome. So we'll get these eyes. Isn't that cool how it's turning out? Here, I'm gonna pop you guys off here. See if I can get you to see. See how it's turning into an eye? Is that not the coolest? Is that so cool? You now have an eye. I love the embroidery machine, y'all. I'm like addicted to the embroidery machine. That's like so cool there. So I saw that smile on the frog. I'm like, what did it stitch over there? That it didn't stitch anything over there. That was just a smiley face on the frog. So a sock monkey bear. Oh, that would be fun. So the Brother machines, I have two Brother embroidery machines. And oh, I'm using the wrong foot, aren't I? Ha! That's funny. You're right. See, I do that sometimes. I forget to change my foot. I forget to change my foot to the embroidery foot and end up using that foot. See, that's what happens when you end up sewing in. Ah! You know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to stop and switch out that foot. Because it's supposed to be using... See, I get busy and I forget. It's supposed to be using the embroidery foot. It is working. It does work. It does work. So, but what happens is when it goes and cuts that thread, it doesn't go in, it doesn't cut it off there. So, but it still works. It still works. So, but go back this way. I think we may let this one go. We'll probably switch it out. But it makes the bear right. I love this meat. I do. I have two brothers. I have the Luminaire 2, and then I also have a Quattro 2. And then I have a Husqvarna Topaz 50. So I have 3 embroidery machines. And half the time, y'all, I'm running all 3 at one time. I'm running all 3 at one time. The thread, we're gonna come down. It got unthreaded here. I think being as we stopped, we're gonna go ahead and swap out. Oh, watch my lives. I'll help you out. If you want instructions on something, we can do a live completely on what you want instructions on. I'm gonna swap this foot out. We're gonna swap out that foot. Let me get... So you should really swap out your foot when you change over to embroidery. So we're going to go back a few stitches. So the name of my machine is, I have a Luminaire 2 by Brother. It's a Luminaire 2 by Brother. Okay, so we're going to stop this. So we are going to stop it. We are going to... So we're going to go back to the front of the design, and we're going to go back to the embroidery, and then we're going to reposition. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to flip this around. So we're going to flip that up. So I'm going to push this. So we have the design. We've got the eyes on there, but the nose is in the wrong spot. That nose is in the wrong spot. So what I've done is I've turned this projector on because we want to put the nose down here. Oh, quit zooming in like that thing. So we want to put the nose down here. So if I come up here, move that projector up here, you'll see the nose is right there. We don't want the nose there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this, and we're going to take this right here, and we're going to start, you'll see it'll start moving down. So we come back over here, and we're going to watch where it moves to. Move it down here. So it's right there at the, we're going to go down just a little bit more. That way that nose gets right in the center of there. Good morning. Good morning. How's Monica this morning? So we're going to go. So we're going to stitch that nose right there. So I'm going to flip this around. And we're just going to stitch the nose on this one. So we're going to come across here. We're going to go to the stitch. We're going to go down to the black. Okay. So don't stitch your finger, y'all. Don't stitch your finger. So you're going to just hold it down like this, kind of hold the fabric back. That way it goes and does. So now it'll go and grab and do that nose. And we're just going to stitch the nose here, and then we'll stop it after it does the nose, and we'll take that off. be putting this video on YT. Yes, I repost all my videos on YT, so you'll be able to see it. So we'll let this finish around the nose, and we're going to stop this one. This will be done. You have to make sure you watch. We're going to open that up. So now we'll take this out of here, and you guys will see. Take this out. So we'll hoop. You forget that it's a magnet. So we're going to take and trim this around. Take that medical tape, y'all. Medical tape works wonders. Medical tape works wonders. So we're going to trim this stabilizer back off here. Make sure you don't cut your bear. And I use that mesh stabilizer because it's not hard, and you can't really feel it on the inside of the bear. So like I said, you can't see it, so it doesn't matter what the back looks like. But you don't want that stiff stabilizer on there. You could use tearaway stabilizer if you wanted. The tearaway would be okay too. It is a dime, it's a dime magnetic hoop. You can get them on, I get them on Amazon or wherever they're so. All right, y'all. We now have a bear face. Is that not the cutest bear face, y'all? So we've added the eyes and then the nose. The nose. You hear me? So we added the nose. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this process one more time. Like I said, I'm doing 2 bears. That way we can go over the process twice. So we'll go ahead and do this again. That way you can see it. So let me put this down here, and we're going to load the stabilizer again. And then we'll move on back on to, sewing this bear together. Like I said, this is the hardest part, y'all. So we've made the ears. You made the ears. We stuffed those ears. And then now we're adding, you did the nose. The nose is kind of hard sometimes, but like I said, this is the hardest part of the bear. Once you get past this, it's easy. It's easy. Thank you for the follow. Okay, so I've hooped the mesh stabilizer. So we're gonna put this back in here. I'm gonna take this medical tape. Like I said, medical tape, y'all. They have a stabilizer. It's tearaway sticky stabilizer. So you actually load the stabilizer in there, and then you cut the piece off that you need on inside of there. You don't want to put that sticky on your hoop. I've made that mistake. And then you can actually stick that face to the bear. So you can stick that face to the bear. Thank you for the tiny Dinies. You are awesome. You are awesome. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this bear face again. So like I said, we've sewed this together, but you're going to have to come down here. We're going to seam rip, y'all. We're going to seam rip. See, this was a good seam ripping though. So we're going to just take out the bottom portion of this, and you don't want to take out the whole thing. You want to leave just a couple inches at the top, or at the right there at the bottom of the nose. So we're going to take this out, and I'll show you once we get here. We'll get this one out. Like I said, if you guys are just joining, I have posted this pattern. It's free. It's a link in my bio. You'll see it. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. You got to wave at him. He's just the cutest thing, right? He's just the cutest thing. So like I said, I have seam ripped. You want to leave just an inch or so at the bottom. You don't want to seam rip all the way. So you're just going to seam rip to there, but it makes it where it folds out like this. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take and add those eyes like we just did. So we're going to add these eyes like this. So let's go ahead and add eyes again. So I'm going to show you guys. I said I'm using this design, and I'll show you guys this design again. So we're going to take this and we're going to line it up on the hoop here. Like I said, if you don't have a projector on your screen, create yourself a template, and I'll have to show you guys how to do a template. If I have time, I'll show you guys. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to come back here. We're going to return. We're just going to go back to the first of this. So you're at this embroidery design. So we want to click on the cylinder up there. We're going to click that cylinder. And what that does is it opens up the projector on your machine. So it opens up that projector. We're going to scroll that up there. So if you move the red square, it shows the eyes on there. Isn't that the coolest? It has those eyes on there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to center this where you need those eyes. We're going to put this where you need those eyes right there. So we'll put that there and I'll get that right. I'm telling you, Miss Betty, I love the projector. It does make it really easy. So we're going to take and I'm going to tape this down. And like I said, medical tape, y'all. Get you a roll of medical tape. It's cheap. It's easy. The paper medical tape. Paper medical tape. So let me get this taped down here. And then we'll start stitching these eyes. We'll start stitching these eyes. And then, don't cancel. Sometimes it wants to cancel on me. Don't cancel. So I'm going to line these up here. Get these lined up. So you've sewed the side of the head to the front of the face. And then we went and seam ripped the bottom of it. I'm going to make sure that we're lining up here. I did one and she's crooked. I'm like, what the heck? So we'll get this lined up. And you're going to use that tape. They said if you sew through the tape, it's not a biggie. So, but this tape works wonders. So we're going to tape that down there. That way the eye goes there. And then that eye goes there. So we're going to tape that down. Get that tape down. Okay, so now let me swap out. We're going to say okay. I'm going to raise that presser foot back up. And like I said, if you don't have the projector, no biggie. You can create yourself a template. Can you save it where you move the nose? You know, I don't know because, you know, sometimes you don't place this exactly the same spot. So I don't know. It's possible. What I'd like to do is what I thought about doing is actually creating a design that has the nose exactly where it should be for this. Maybe I'll do that one day. If I ever do that, I'll let you guys know and you guys can get the design because sometimes I create designs. So we're going to go ahead and stitch these eyes. And like I said, you're going to hold this fabric down. Just don't sew your finger. I've made the mistake of sewing my fingers a couple times and kind of hold it down. That way it doesn't bunch that fabric because sometimes it can bunch that fabric. Calm down, it'll start stitching that there. I said we'll get these sewed. Once we get all these sewed, we will sew the rest of those bears. I said we're doing 2 bears. I'm going to do 2 bears. That way I can go through the process twice. And then I will also, like I said, I always download my live and I post it to my YT page. So go click on the link on my bio. You'll see my YT page there. So it's a dime hoop. It's the hold on, let me grab my other phone. I'll tell you. I'll show you. I'll pull it up and show you. So that's where you can get these hoops. You can get them on Amazon too, but you can just go right to their site and get these hoops. And they have them pretty much for any machine out there. You can get them for your Janome machine, your Baby Lock machine. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I love the magnetic hoops. The magnetic hoops work really well. Okay, so we're going to move over to the other side. We're going to make sure it's, he said you want to make sure it's flat. So they have that sticky stabilizer. Like I said, they have that sticky stabilizer. forget what it's called, but that works really well when you're doing these faces because you can actually stick your fabric down onto there. So thank you for the gifts. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. So we'll do this one, and then what we'll do is we'll take in, once we get these done, we'll have to sew the bottom back up that we seam ripped out. And then we will sew the ears to there, and then the back of the head, and then we'll be done with the head, and then we'll move on to the bottom. So probably the longest process is cutting it out. Once you get it all cut out, you can get them stitched together fairly quickly there. Okay, grab just a little bit, but that's okay. It's okay. So we're making, one of the bears will be it's going to be an ocean theme. It has turtles and fish. It's really cool bear. And then the other bear is a frog bear. So, like I said, once I get these finished too, I will post them on my website because all my grandkids have bears. They have bears. Wait a minute. Jackie, are you there? See if my daughter-in-law's there. Because I have a feeling, I think I still need to do one bear. I think I still need to do one bear. I don't think Everly has a bear. So we're going to put black thread in there. And this is where we move the design. So we're going to move that because it's trying to do that nose. We don't want it to do the nose right now. We just want it to move up and do the eyes. So we're going to thread that on there. And again, we're going to come back to here. I'm going to flip this camera around. So we have the nose. So we want to come down here and you're going to hit that plus sign. And we're going to see, you'll see where that has that, the what do you call it? The green mark there. I'll think of it in a minute. So we're going to move ahead. We're going to move ahead. Past the nose because the nose is in the wrong spot. So we're going to move over to the eye. We're going to move over to that eye. Come back down. Then up one. Good morning, Nikki. Okay, so now we're going to come back. Blurred. So we're going to come back over here and we're back up at the eyes. We're going to come back to the eyes here. Da-doom. Okay, so now we can stitch out the eyes. We'll go back and do the nose, but when we do the nose, we got to move it down there, so. And you got to kind of watch where it stitches and make sure that your fabric still lays flat on here. Just make sure you don't put your fingers down there. Like I said, if you don't have a machine with a projector, what you do is you take and load a piece of stabilizer and you draw a line on the inside of that stabilizer. That way you can see exactly where it hooped in there. And then you stitch out that design on there and then you cut that template out. And then what you can see is you load your piece of fabric and then you load that, and then you put your template on top and you know exactly where it's gonna go, so. If we happen to have time, we'll go and do that. So it's adding those eyelashes. I like the eyelashes on this one. It's cool. It just gives your bear that much character. See, and I'm gonna have to remember when we go back to sewing after this, because like I said, this is the only embroidery we're doing, is just the eyes and the nose, and then we'll go back to just sewing. Over there, over there. All right. We'll get the other eye done, and then we'll do the nose. These are going to be the cutest bears, guys. These are going to be the cutest bears. And have fun with the fabric. Like I said, I'm actually mixing flannel and cotton. I'm actually mixing flannel and cotton together. You must be doing that new Windows update there, Miss Cynthia. I hate to tell you this, but that one killed my machine. Or not my machine, but my, oops. Thread broke, thread broke. So whenever your thread breaks, just go back a few stitches. That way you know you're getting... But yeah, when I installed that, what do you call it? That Windows update, yeah, it killed my embroidery, or my computer, and I couldn't even recover for it. And I had software that I had purchased. Yeah, don't stop it, Cynthia. Whatever you do, do not stop that update. Yeah, so I had a software that I had purchased probably 15 years ago. I paid quite a bit of money for that software. It was a Bernina embroidery software, and it let me design embroidery designs and stuff. Yeah, I called the company and they're like, you have to purchase the new one. I'm like, I paid thousands of dollars for that software. I can't afford to be buying it again. So, needless to say, I've ended up, I bought another software, but it's not even close to what that one is because I can't afford to buy another expensive one. So, why I don't create designs as much as I want to. So, no, usually it's the needle. Usually it's the needle. You need to swap your needle out. So, a lot of people swap their needle every day. I don't swap my needle until it's causing me lots of problems. So, because like I said, a lot of people do their needles every day and I don't. So, okay. So now we're going to come back here. We're going to come back here and a lot of your designs, just as in, and a lot of your designs will have intricate stitches, and on those intricate stitches it could make that thread gather too. There's so many different things that can happen to make it gather. So we're going to click on that cylinder again. Oh, we're going to move that up. Click that cylinder again. We're going to come back down here. And as you can see, the nose is right there. We don't want that nose there. We want to move it all the way down into here. So we're going to come back here and we're going to move that nose down. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to watch that nose come down, and we may have to move it over a little bit too. So we're going to move it over a little bit here, because you can see where I'm putting it. I'm just putting it right in the edge of there. So I'm going to flip you guys back around. And a lot of people on the nose will take and just draw. They will take a black marker and draw a nose in there. I like to stitch a nose. We're going to take a piece of this tape. See if we can hold this down here. So it is a Luminaire 2. It's a Luminaire 2. I need to check the bobbin here. This is a Brother Luminaire 2 is what it is. Check your marketplace. Check your what do you call it? Your quilt shops. A lot of people trade them in when they buy new ones. And when they trade them in, you have, you're able to get one of these at a really good price. So. Put that in there. We're going to have to back up that stitch just a little bit. Yeah, that's actually not a bad software. Why is it doing that? I think we may have to. Hold on, guys. We'll have an issue. Sometimes if I had canned air, I don't know what I did with my canned air. I gotta get a new bobbin. New bobbin, new bobbin. Sometimes you end up sewing so much and then it starts gathering, and well, when it starts doing that, you pop the hoop off. Sewing machine. Good morning, good morning. So you end up popping that hoop off or the plate off. So let's try this again. Let's see if you're going to stitch now. That sounds better. And hold on. Oh my gosh. Is the thread tangle or the needle bent? Okay. So this one is up. See, this is what happens. See, this is part of sewing, guys. Part of sewing is when things break. I apologize. Thinking I think it has so much thread on the bottom of it that it's gumping up. And I think we might go ahead and swap the needle out too. Because it's saying swap the needle. So we're going to swap the needle. All right. So we're taking the needle out. We're going to put a new needle in. And always tighten it just a little bit with a screwdriver. Because if not, it'll shake out of there, guys. It will shake out. Trim the back of this because it's got all right. Hopefully, fingers crossed, y'all. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So, oh, you've never switched them out? So, yeah. So, and also if it has like a bunch of stuff, take a piece of tape and put over the back of it. So, good morning. Good morning. Okay. So, machine needles. I use these. I use a couple different ones, but I do like these. I do like those needles. But I mean, as long as you find a good needle, I mean, needles can be kind of pricey. So, if you have a magnetic hoop, make sure you keep this in the middle of it, because that magnet is very strong. So, all right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to trim this away because we've got the face on there. Finally, sorry about that, guys. That was a hard one. That was a hard one. I'm like, is it going to go? And then we can get to sew in this bear again. We can get to sew in this bear again. But that's part of sewing, guys. That is literally part of sewing. As you're sewing along and you're like, oh my gosh, the machine broke. Okay, what are we going to do? It didn't really break, but it was having havoc. So that is just part of it. So yes, right? I'm saying whoop also. Yes, let's keep going here, guys. So we got the face and the eyes and the nose all sewed on here. So now that we have that, so I use, here, let me show you. I just had to go purchase some more, y'all. Wally World. Go to Wally World. It's just medical tape. Literally paper medical tape. Works phenomenal. Works phenomenal, y'all. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow. And if y'all are just joining, I do have this pattern for the bear on my page. Free. I traced it out. It's my grandmother's pattern. So I traced it out for you guys. It prints out on a letter size, just normal paper size. Make sure you print it out on that size, because if you don't, you're going to it'll end up a different size. So so now what we're going to do is we have that, and when we did this, we kind of seam ripped the bottom of it. So we need to go back and stitch the bottom of this. Or yeah, Dollar Tree also. Yes, absolutely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to stitch the bottom of this and do a back stitch right there. And we'll do that because we've got two bears going, because I'm trying to show y'all twice on this. So we've got two bears going. So we're going to go back here and we're going to stitch the bottom of this. And I need to change it back to sewing, and I need to change that foot. I almost forgot, y'all. Almost forgot. Of course, kind of hard to forget when on the sewing side of things, because y'all, this foot don't work very well for sewing. Like, yeah, no, that one don't work very good for sewing. So we're gonna go back to the sewing one. And I always, like I said, I always tighten just a little bit with that screwdriver, because you don't want that foot coming off. When that foot comes off, that's not no fun. So again, we're going to take and stitch the bottom of this head back on here. And I need to rethread. We don't want black. We don't want black. So I have like a gray blue. It's kind of like a gray blue that I'm using because both of my fabrics here has some blue in it. So I was like, well, I'll just go with like a gray blue. So I'm going to redo that bobbin just in case. Make sure it's good. Just in case. Okay. So we're going to stitch where we seam ripped out of the bottom here. We're going to back stitch right there. That way that stays together. Make sure I got it. I missed some of it. So you turn it back the other way just to make sure you got it. Sometimes missed it right there. Okay, so now you'll see you have your face with your nose. You have your face with your nose. Is that not the cutest? Cutest, cutest. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew this one. So again, you seam ripped the bottom of it. So where you seam ripped the bottom of it, now we're going to stitch that across there again. We're going to stitch that across there again. That way we can close the seam back up. It's funny, you take and sew it together, then you seam rip it out. I'm like, what the heck are you doing there? And then back stitch here. That way when you sew that head together, because you're going to sew the head to the body, and when you sew the head to the body, sure. Yep. So now we have that head. So now once we get to this point, we need to add the ears. You need to add the ears on here. So now you get that over there, because you want to add the ears before you add the back. Where's my other ears? There's one ear, there's one ear. Okay, so we have these ears that we sewed together. So we sewed these together, turned them inside out, and stuffed them. We have stuffing in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take and sew just right on the edge, right across there. We're going to sew right on the edge, right across there to close up that seam. And then we're going to add them to the head. So let's go ahead and stitch across here. And like I said, right on the edge. Right on the edge is where you're going to stitch. Because you don't want that seam to show. You're just closing that seam up there. Like I said, you're just sewing right on the edge there. So we'll go ahead and do this one. And then we'll do the same thing on these two. Stitching right down the edge, and then we're going to add them to the head. And we'll stitch this one. Okay, So now we've got these stitched. So, oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So now that we've stitched right there on the edge, we have this bear head that we've made. So what you're going to do is whatever you want. So these are going to flip up this way. So whatever you want showing to the front of the bear, you want to put that down. So what I do is you take this seam right here and you're going to come over just a little bit there. And you're going to take and clip that. Clip it right there. And then you're going to clip it here. You can pin these, you can clip them however you want. And so you're going to have that there. And you want to do it the exact same spot on the other side. And sometimes I take it, because like I said, it's going to flip up that way. Sometimes I take it and do it like one this way, one that way. But we're going to do both of them that way. So we're going to take and pin it down. And like I said, you want to kind of make sure that it's the exact same on each side. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not a perfectionist, just so you know. I just like to have fun sewing. I like to have fun sewing. So I'm going to take and clip that on there. So we'll do this one and then we'll sew the other one. We'll do this one and then we will sew that other one. Clip this here. Throwing clips on the floor. There you go. Okay, so we have it clipped. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take and sew a stitch across here. You want to make sure, and this is why I said sew right on the edge, because you're going to come down and sew, because you don't want that seam showing there. So let's go ahead and stitch this here. Again, if you guys are just joining, you guys can go grab this pattern. I have the pattern posted on my page. No charge for the pattern, guys. This is my grandmother's pattern. I'm sharing. She shared with me, so I'm sharing with y'all. So we're going to sew across here. Come across. Cut that one. And then come over here. I'm going to keep it where you got it clipped because you want to keep... I'm going to take and move that out like that. Okay. You want to try and get them both at the same spot there, guys. Okay, so I'm going to cut that off. Okay. So now, you're very welcome. So now you have the pattern. So the pattern. I'm reading and it's talking. So now you have ears. Now you have ears, guys. Is that not cool? So let's go ahead and do the other one. Like I said, I'm doing two. That way you guys can see the process twice here. So we have our bear head. And then you have your ears. And you want to do the one that you want showing on the outside. You want facing the bear head when you stitch it in. And you have this stitch right here. And you want to go just a little bit to the other side of that. And clip it there. Because that's where you want it to position. That way it kind of centers there. Kind of centers there. So then we take and we come over here. Isn't he cute? These are both going to be cute. I'm excited for these two. I am excited. Thanks for the follows, y'all. Thanks for the follows. So then we take that bear ear, and we're going to, like I said, just a little bit past this seam. Just a little bit past this seam. We're going to clip it there. And then we're going to take, and we'll stitch this. Once we get this on here, then we'll do the back. Okay, so there we go. So, all right, let's come back here. Make sure you don't sew that other side of that fabric. So we're going to unclip this one. You're just going to kind of line it up here. Stop. And kind of push that fabric to there. You want to sew behind that seam line that you just sewed because you don't want that seam line showing. You don't want it showing when you flip that ear up. And y'all notice I use that start and stop button. I don't use a foot pedal. I don't use a foot pedal on mine. So you kind of, sometimes you can just hold it on there. Okay, cut that one off. Okay, so now we have this one. This is gonna be cute. I like both of them. I don't know which one's my favorite here. So now we need to add the back of the head. Now we need to add the back of the head. So we're gonna turn this back inside out. So shove that nose in. Take this one. You're gonna shove that nose in and put the ears to the inside. So now we have the back of the head. So the back of the head is right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take right sides together. I mean, if you have, like I said, there's not a front or top or back side on this fabric. But what you're going to do is you're going to stitch down one side of it. You're going to stitch down that one side on both of these. So this one here, I'll show you on this one. So you have, I ended up with, I forgot to cut two ones. So we ended up with two different frog fabrics. So you take right sides together like this, and then you stitch down one side. Then you stitch down the one side. So let's go ahead and stitch both these. And go ahead and back stitch too. And go ahead and stitch down this one. Okay. So now you've got, you're very welcome. You are very welcome. It's actually my grandmother's pattern. So you guys get my grandmother's pattern. Okay. So we have the back of the head. So now all you're going to do is you're going to take that top seam right there and you're going to center it right here on your bear. You're going to center it right there. We're going to go over today on my live today, guys. So we're going to center it up here. So we're going to clip this here. You just want to make sure it's centered there. And then you're going to come down here on the edge. You want to line it up on the edge. So you're just going to either pin it or clip it all the way around. You want to pin it or clip it all the way around, y'all. Clip it there. You can use pins or clips, either way. And clip it there. So let's go ahead and sew this one, and then I'll show you guys that again. So we'll go ahead. They said you have it all clipped together. So we're going to take, and you want to back stitch right here. And then we're going to sew all the way around. Make sure when you get to the ear that you're sewing right there on the edge there. So unclip that. I said the head is the hardest part, guys. Once you get past that head, it's smooth sailings. Smooth sailings. Back stitch at the end of this. So we got it all back stitched here. Okay, so we got it all stitched around. So now you're going to turn it inside out, or right side out. Inside out. It's already inside out. We're going to turn it right side out. So we're going to take and flip this around. So you now have a bear head. You now officially have a bear head. We got somewhere, guys. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do this other one. So you have the bear. So you're going to take your center seam. You're going to take your center seam and put it right in the center. Right in the center, in between the ears. You're going to clip that right there. And you're going to go down here and grab your corner. So clip the edges of the corner right there. Same thing over here. The edge of this one on this corner. Clip it there. And then you just kind of clip it all the way around here. Once you do it a few times, you'll get the gist of it. And you can use scrap fabric. Get all your scrap fabrics together because it doesn't take a lot of fabric to make these. And they stitch out really easy. Like I said, once you get past the head, like I said, and I will repost this video so you guys can go back through this video again and kind of watch. Okay, so we have it all clipped together. So now we're going to sew all the way around it again. We're going to sew all the way around this again. So we're going to go here and don't forget to back stitch right here. And you'll see once we get to putting the head on the body. So now we're going across those ears, coming around the center, turning here. Make sure you're grabbing both sides, the front and the back of the head. Sometimes you got to go back and restitch it, but that's okay. That's part of sewing. And then back stitch here. Okay, and then we will turn it right sides out. We will turn this one right side out, guys. Get this one turned right side out. And we're going to go over a little bit, guys. So, all right. We now have a bear head. Is that not the cutest? Super, super cute. Let's get that body sewed. Let's get that body sewed. So, we have two heads. We have two bear heads. How cute, right? Sometimes I just go and sew bear heads and get the bear head sewed. And then you can go back and sew the rest of the body because these are the pain. These are the pain. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving, guys. Okay. Like I said, if you're just joining or new to me and you need the pattern is in a link in my bio. No charge. It's free. And then my FB and YT page are there. I repost my lives. That way you can come back and watch again. Okay. So now what we're going to do. So the next thing you need to do is we're going to do the legs next. The legs are the next thing. So we're going to take and find, for your legs, you need the two soles. So you have, this is the sole of your foot. And then you need the front and the back of your legs. So let me grab, I'm going to throw those up there for a minute. So I'm going to grab the legs on this other one here. We're missing a sole here. There it is. I say we're missing one. Okay. So the size of it, that was a 5x7. That was a 5x7 hoop. Okay. So you have the side and the coordinating fabric. So what you do is you sandwich those together. You're going to sandwich those together. So you're going to take right sides together. That way the wrong side is on the outside. You want the wrong side on the outside here. So you're going to leave an opening on the back. You're going to leave an opening on the back. Hold on. Work is calling me. Hold on. I'm a director of IT by day, so hold. Hold on a minute. Hey, in the vSphere environment, if you don't have red exclamations and stuff again, do you? Okay. Uh-huh. You might write. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So more than likely what happened the other day when the host, because we had a host go down. So when the host went down and we had to bring it back up, more than likely it probably did something to that server because it was on that host and it migrated off and then had to migrate back. So I would do a restart on that server and you should be good on it. So you have the county network, the sheriff's office connection, and then the CGIS connection. Correct. No, you should be fine. Yeah, so we brought it back up Sunday. So so no, I think you're fine. So that the host automatically migrate. So it has HA enabled and it actually automatically migrates those servers as the resources change on servers. It'll migrate from host to host during that time to actually make sure that the servers are getting the best utilization there for the resources. So I'm pretty sure you're good. You said some are failing to migrate? Okay. 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 All right. Well, I feel comfortable. You guys are good to go. So we have core EMR. I'm not sure the integration though. Correct. It is with the jail. So that's because that's where they use the core EMR as the doctors and nurses in the jail. Okay, I can research that for you, Vince. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. You're welcome. Sorry about that, guys. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I would love to retire, I'll tell you. So being the director of IT, yeah. Thank you. We may end up having, depending on what happens, hopefully not, but we're going to keep sewing. Hopefully I don't get called in. If I get called in, it may get extended to tomorrow, but hopefully not. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these. So you have right sides together, and you're going to leave that opening in the back. So you're going to stitch, open, stitch, and then you're going to come around the other side and stitch that close. You're going to don't stitch the bottom of it. Don't stitch the bottom of it, guys. Okay. So we're going to keep going on this. Keep going here. So we're going to stitch the front of it. So this is the front of your foot. And you're going to just kind of curve it around. Stitch down. Cut that one. Turn it around, and you're going to leave an opening here. You're going to leave an opening there, guys. And that's so you can actually stuff this bear. That's so you can actually stuff this bear, guys. So we're going to do the same thing on this one. So you're going to leave that opening in the back. And then you're going to sew the front of that foot and just kind of curve around with it. Kind of let it curve and then kind of curve back. Your feed dogs will pull your fabric for you. Your feed dog will pull that fabric for you. And then we'll do the same thing on these other two. Like I said, you're going to take... You're going to do right sides together. This one you actually see. This one you'll actually see the right sides together. So you have this side and this side sandwiched together. So then you have your opening here. You get your opening there. And then we're going to take cut that one off. Leave that opening. Sew this down. Cut that one off. And then you're going to sew this one here. This one just curves around. Let those feed dog pull it. Let those feed dog pull it. You don't want to go too fast on your machine. Kind of want to do a slower stitch there. That way it doesn't go crazy there. And we'll do the same thing on this one. Right sides together sandwiched. And we're going to sew that seam right there. Curve around. Cut that one. Flip it around. Stop that one, leave the opening, go down, and then cut that one. Okay, now you want to take your bears, so you have the bottom of your foot. On the bottom of your foot, you got to add these soles. You need to add these soles. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the middle of the back here. So you're going to take that middle back and just kind of pin it there. Pin it, clip it, either way. We're going to clip it. And then come to the front and clip it there too. And then what I do is I just load it in the machine and then just stitch it around because it just stitches all the way around. So we're going to stitch this. Once you get it going, like I said, leave your needle down. Leave the needle down. That way you can kind of just keep it straight in there. Go to the back. Once you get it there, flip that fabric over like that. I said, once you've done these a few times, you'll get used to doing them. And okay, cut that one out. So now we're going to turn this foot right side out. And you have a foot. You have a foot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch across the top right here. We'll stitch across the top and then we'll do these other feet. Then we'll do the other ones right quick. Okay, so there's one foot. So again, you take your foot and you take the center of that foot and you're doing right side in. You want to make sure you go right side in on this foot and you find the center at the top and you clip it there. And then on the bottom, you do the same thing. You find the center, just eyeball the center, and then you're going to clip it there. And then you just sew it around. Then you just take and sew it around there. So, hey, Renee. Then we turn it right sides out. Turn it right side out here. And then you take and you hold it like this. Oops, sorry. Hold it like this, and then you're going to do a stitch across the top. Do a stitch across the top there. Oops, sorry about that. So let me get these other two made right quick. Like I said, you do right sides in on here. So these I'm not going to clip. Some you don't have to clip. You can just kind of, ow. I say if you leave your needle down, just kind of go around with it. Once you've sewed a few of them, you're like, oh, I can do this. Flip that fabric to the other side. You just want to make sure you're not sewing the other side of the fabric. Then you turn it right side out. Right side out, and then you stitch the top. Do the other one here. So just make sure you center right there. Get this sole on here. Last one, guys. I wanted to do 2 bears, that way we could do the process twice. That way you guys could see it twice. Okay, so we're gonna flip these around. And again, you want to hold it this way and sew across there. Okay, now we need to do the back of the body. Now we need to do the back of the body. So the back of the body is your 2 big pieces. You need your 2 big pieces here, guys. So what you're going to do is on these 2 big pieces, you have these little cutout triangles. So what you're going to do is you're going to sandwich together, right sides together, and you're going to stitch down that. You're going to stitch down that. This is going to give you your bottom. It's going to give you your bottom on your bear. So you take the little triangle and you're just going to stitch across this. Kind of back stitch there. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to have right sides together. Line that up. Back stitch there. So on there you have, so you've just sewed that pleat. So that gives you your bottom there. So let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other one. So again, you have the right side of your fabric. You have, thank you very much. So you have the little triangle cut out here. So you're going to take and fold right sides together with that triangle there. And then line it up and you're going to stitch across there. You're going to stitch across there. do the same thing on this one. Okay, so this is the back of the bear. So now what you're going to do is you're going to want to leave an opening here. If you don't leave an opening, we can't turn the bear inside out. So what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down, leave an opening, and then stitch all the way down. Stop there. And I think I put those markers on yours. I don't remember if I did or not, but just make sure you leave an opening there. So you'll see, let me open this up. You just created the bottom of the bear. See, it's the bear bottom. It's the bear bottom. So thanks for the follow. Thank you for the follow. If you're just joining and you guys want the pattern, I have the pattern for the bear on my on my link on my bio, and I repost my lives on YT for you to watch again. And I'll put them on the FB page just in case you don't have YT. So again, we're going to sandwich these together, right sides together, and you're going to leave an opening. This is the back of the bear. This is the back of the bear. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew, leave open, sew down, okay? Okay, cut that. And then leave that opening. And then we're going to sew the rest of this closed here. Okay, so here is the back of this other bear, if I could open it up. Really? Okay. So here is the bottom. See, it gives you just the bottom. So now what we're going to do is we need the front of the bear. We need the front of the bear, guys. So now we have the front of the bear. So the front of the bear is, we're going to sew that right there. So we're going to flip it around. Right sides together. And you can see it's a belly. You see the belly? We're going to sew that belly closed. We're going to sew that belly closed. So we're going to come here on this one. So you see, this one you can see. So it's like a character fabric there. So we're going to take that. You can pretty much cut how the fabric however you want. So now we're going to take and sew that belly closed. We're going to sew the belly closed here, guys. I think I may have, hold on. Did I sew this the wrong way? See, this is what happens. I end up sewing the wrong way. I did. Ha! Now we're going to seam rip. So that's what happened. Hold on. I sewed it the wrong one. The fat one goes to the back. That's right. It'll seam rip fairly quickly. Nikki, I'm not sure I'm going to make walking this morning. Okay. Try this again, guys. Sorry about that. See, this is what happens when you sew. It's okay. So what we want to do is we want to sew the other side. So don't sew the curved side, sew this side of it. So the one side that's not curved. So you're going to sew this one. So that one you don't want sewed. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I made bears, guys. Been a while since I made bears. So right sides together. Sew more or less the flat side, kind of. It does. It happens to us all. It does. Okay. So now we have the belly. So now what we're going to do is you're going to take these feet that you just made. And what I do is I take the belly and I take the foot with the foot side out, and I take and put it down, and then I flip it up. That way you know exactly where you're going to go. And what you're going to do is you're going to pin it. I'll show you here. So you want to clip it kind of like you did the ears, just like an inch away there. So we're going to do the same thing on this one. We're going to clip this one here. So you have it clipped like that. Kind of like that. And then we'll sew these on here. We'll sew these on here right quick. Kind of pull it. And you kind of go down that same stitch that you already stitched on there. You can just follow that same seam, because your next seam you're going to go a little bit deeper in on the foot. Okay, so you now have legs. You now have legs on the bear. You have legs on the bear. So once you have these legs on the bear, you take that backing that we just sewed together. So you now have the backing and the front. So now you're just going to pin that together. So you want to take the center seams on the back and the center seams on the front, and line those up. You want to, because you want to make sure those line up right there. So line your top one up here. Make sure your feet are inside when you're clipping this. Make sure your feet are on the inside when you're clipping it. Then you're going to take, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I will be reposting my video on YT if you want to come check it out. So, so now I'm going to stitch around this. So this is going to join the front and the back of the bear together. So, and then after this, all we have left is the arms. All we have left is the arms, and then we'll add the head, and then we're good to go. Y'all, I've accidentally sewed a head on backwards, y'all. That one's not no fun, because then you're having to undo it. Part of my seam came out here, so we're going to fix this seam right quick. Part of my seam came out, so we're going to fix that. Cut that one there. Okay. So now we're going to come around. So you want to back stitch this. We're just going to stitch all the way around here, guys. And make sure you sew on the other side of that seam that you stitched on the legs, because you don't want to see that seam there. Do a back stitch right there. Okay, so that one is good. So now let's go ahead and get this one. So we gotta do the legs again. So you have your legs. So you have this right side up, and then you take your legs with the foot out. And then, like I said, you line it up down here, and then you're going to just fold it up. You're going to fold it up. Put this one on there. So you want to leave just about, that way the same distance on both sides. That way your legs are in the same spot and kind of centered on the bottom there. It's kind of centered on the bottom. Let's go ahead and stitch these. And this one, I kind of just follow the same seam that you've already sewed on that leg. And then when you come across and sew the two together, you're just going to sew on the other side of that. That way you don't see it there. So now we'll sandwich these together, because you know how legs. Good morning. Good morning. So we're going to sandwich these together. So we're going to take the back of the body and then the front of the body. We're going to pin these together. So you have your bottom and your top. Make sure you line these two up. My stomach is growling. Like, I'm hungry. So we're going to pin these together here. And then you want to take and pin. I always take and pin or clip, either way, the top corners. I pin those top corners there. And then put that leg back in there. He's jumping out. The leg's jumping out. It's like, get back in there. Get back in there. So then we're going to clip together this corner here. And then just kind of line it up and then sew a seam across. Okay, so now we're going to sew around. Now we're going to sew around here, guys. Don't forget to back stitch at the top there. Get in there, leg. Okay, so we now have those all sewed together. Now we got to do the arms right quick. We're almost done, guys. We are almost done getting this stitched together. So close. So I have a Luminaire 2 on the sewing machine, but it'll work on pretty much any sewing machine you have because this just needs a straight stitch. All you need is a straight stitch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the arms. We're going to do the arms. So you're going to sandwich right sides together. You want to sandwich right sides together. And on the arms, you have to leave an opening. You got to be able to stuff this bear, guys. You got to be able to stuff this bear. So right sides together. And then we're going to sew around and leave an opening. Again, we have same thing here. We're going to do right sides together. And then you're going to leave that opening. So you're going to stitch down, hop over, and then stitch all the way around. This is going to be the arms, guys. This is going to be the arms. And then we're going to pin those heads in there. And we're going to be done. Then it'll literally be like a popple. I keep saying popple. I'm gonna find a popple one of these days. That way you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. That was from like the early 80s when I was a kid. I used to have a popple. So, all right. So we're gonna sew around here, and then we'll turn it inside out. So let those feed dogs just kind of pull it around, and then when you get to the other side, you're just gonna let it curve around. Just let it curve, kind of push down on your fabric a little bit, and it'll pull around that arm. It'll pull around the circle on the arm. So, and you're gonna stop here, cut a piece, because we got to be able to stuff this bear. Got to be able to stuff this bear. So now I'm going to turn this inside out, and we'll stitch across the top. Turn it inside out here. So then we turned it inside out, and now we're just going to stitch across the top right there. An opening there. Then we're going to turn it inside out. Oops, and I missed part of the last stitch just pulled right out of there. Sometimes it does that. It's like, hey, guess what? And just like, hey, guess what? And just on the arms, make sure, because I know on the legs, we went this way. We don't want to do that. On the arms, we're just going to sew it. Just turn it inside out and just sew right across the top of it. You don't want to sandwich it like we did the legs. We'll do it just a little bit different on the arms. So we'll get these other two sewed. Like I said, we're doing 2 bears. I want you guys to see this so we can do it twice. Oh, oops. Cutter, not the... So we're leaving an opening. The opening is for... so you can stuff this arm. You got to be able to stuff the bear when you're done, right? I'm glad you're excited. I'm excited for you. So we're going to turn this inside out. I'm going to stitch just a little bit lower on this one because turn this inside out. And please, when you're making the bear, if you have questions, holler at me. Always willing to help you guys out. Always willing to help you out. So tomorrow's live, guys, we're doing, I'm going to show you all how to Miranda. We'll start small, but then we'll move up to a baby quilt so you guys can quilt those quilts. So we're leaving an opening. This is the last arm. Then we'll add these in here and then we'll pin those heads in and we're about done, guys. We're about done stitching this bear. Thank you for the gifts. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so turning this inside out. Oh my gosh, you are such a sweetheart. Thank you. Donuts. That sounds yummy. Can I have some donuts? Donuts sound yummy, guys. Okay, so we're turning. Oh, that is so sweet of you. Thank you. Okay, so we have this inside out. We have this our right side out now, so then we're going to stitch across the top. Remember, so on the legs, we went this way. We don't want to go this way on the arms. We want to actually keep it just like this on the arms. So we're going to stitch across there again. Okay, now we need to add these arms to the body. We need to add these arms to the body. Nikki, are you on here? So now we have the body. So you have the back and then you have your front. You want to make sure when you pin these in here that you actually have them the right side. So you have the curve going towards the front of the belly. You don't want to go into the back. You don't want to go into the back. Hold on. I got to text Nikki because I'm going to stay on and we're going to finish these bears. I'm going to stay on and we're going to finish the bear. I don't want her going in. So like I said, the curve towards the belly. The curve towards the belly, guys. Let me text her right quick. Hold on. Ugh. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and pin these in here. And remember, so you have the curve. You see how it curves to the front? That's the front of your arm. So you have the back of your, so you want to make sure that that front of that arm is going curving towards the front of the belly. So when you put it in, you're pinning it to the side. You're pinning it to the side where the front and the back join. So you're going to put this in here like this. And you're going to pin it right there. Pin it, clip it, whatever you want to do. So we're going to clip it there. And then we're going to come to the other side. We're going to do the same thing. Make sure it curves to the front of the bear. So we're going to put this in there. So we're going to clip this to the front like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew across there. We're going to sew across there. This is where it gets a little hard because you're actually sewing in the middle of here. So I'll show you guys. So just take, and you have to remove that clip. So you're going to take and just put it inside of your foot right here. You're just going to kind of, and we're just going to stitch the top of this here. That way it just gets pulled onto the top of the fabric there. Then I'm going to sew the top of this one, because then what we're going to do is we'll sew the head on here. We'll pin that head on here. And the head, you need straight pins on the heads, guys. Okay, so we have the arms in there. Now let's get these arms sewed in there. And then come across this side. So we're going to sew right here. Okay. So let me grab those heads. Here comes the tricky part, guys. I have actually accidentally sewed a head on backwards. That's always fun when you sew heads on backwards, guys. I'm like, no. Okay. So we have our fun heads we made. We have our fun heads we made. So what you're going to do, here's your bear. Here's the belly. Here's the back. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your head, turn it like this. You want the front going to the belly. You want the front going to the belly. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, you kind of fold it like this. You're going to kind of shove it in here like this. Now you have 4 seams on here. On the 4 seams, so you're going to take the center. So right here at the bottom of the bear, you're going to take that and clip it, or pin it. Actually, you're going to pin it to the seam on the belly. So you're going to pin it to the seam on the belly, and you want to pin to the inside because you're going to be stitching inside there. So then you go around and you do the same thing. So now you're going to pin the side of the head over here to where the seam is in the middle of your arm. You're going to pin the seam to the middle of the arm there. And then the back of your head to where your seams on the back is. Pin that. And you want to pin this because you don't want it going. This is where you end up poking yourself too. So then you pin the seams on the other side of your head together. Okay. Again, this is where it can be tricky, guys. This is where it can be tricky. So the back of the bear, and remember the back of the bear is where you have that opening. That's where you know that that's the back of the bear. That's where you have the opening. And then your front of the bear. So then you have your head. So you turn your head upside down, and you want the front of your bear facing towards the belly. So you kind of fold it in half like this, and you put it inside of the bear. Like I said, I've done this upside down. I've sewed a head on backwards. That was not no fun. That was not no fun, guys. So you put this in here, and you want to make sure that when you unfold it, you're grabbing. So you have seams all the way. You have 4 seams. You're going to pin those 4 seams. So the seam that's like right down here below the nose, you're going to pin that seam right there to the middle of the belly. You're pinning that seam to the middle of the belly, guys. So you're going to pin that seam here. I promise you guys, you can do this. I have faith in you. Go back. I'll get, this should be posted by this afternoon on YT. So takes a little bit for it to process. Takes a little bit for it to process on here, but I will get it posted today for you guys. I'll get it posted. Good morning, Miss Savannah. Miss Savannah is my niece. She's made bears. She has made bears. So we're going to pin the side. So your seams will just line up. So you just want to, good morning, Miss Dahlia. Aunt Carrie loves you. So then we have the seam on the back of the head. So your back of the head there. So we get all 4 of these all sewed up here. Okay. So now we have all those said. So now we have all of these pinned. So now what we're going to do, we're going to sew these together. We're going to sew these together, and then we're going to play popple. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to line this up in the sewing machine. And I just realized I pinned these. I pinned them backwards. I need to pin them this way so I can pull those needles out. That was good. Pin this way, you knucklehead. Pin that way. I don't know why I was pinning backwards. Because I'm like, how am I going to be able to pull those needles out if I get them in there backwards? I'm going to make sure that the top is on this side. Make sure the top is on this side. So, okay. So now we're going to put this in the sewing machine, and we want to make sure and sew all the way around this. I'm going to move, well, no, I won't do that. I was going to say I was going to move my needle a little bit, but that makes a larger stitch, and I want this a tighter stitch. So we're going to move that over there. So now you're going to just load this in the sewing machine like this. Get back there. So you're going to drop this down, put your needle down. This is where the needle down comes into play here, guys. So we're going to stitch. So we're going to kind of go and stitch and then turn. So you're stitching and turning, guys. Stitching and turning. So you're going to turn a little bit. And we're going to remove. Don't sew over your pins. You're liable to break a needle. A lot of people sew over their pins. I don't sew over my pins. Everybody's different, though. They're, you know. I'm not saying there's right or wrong way. So we're going to sew a little bit more. Hold on, that one needs to go back in there. So a little bit more. Take that pin out. So a little bit more. Turn it. Just keep turning. Just keep turning. Just keeps turning. And then keep going here. Remove that pin. This is where you want to keep that needle down. You want to keep that needle down. So we're going to sew it again. There's that final pin. Pull it around. And y'all, I go and sew around again. That way it's double stitch. This is why it's a pain if you accidentally sew it on backwards, because I go and double stitch it. That way the head definitely stays on. That way that head definitely stays on, guys. Okay, so we're going to cut that one off. I'm going to throw it over there because we're going to undo both of them at the same time. So now we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to slide. Oh, we need to turn these ones around too. Remember to have your end of your pins on the outside, not the inside. Doesn't work out very well if they're on the inside, because then you can't pull them out. Then you can't pull them out. Okay. Pins on the outside. Make sure the pins are on the outside. Don't put them in this way. Put them in this way. I put them in the wrong way. So, all right. So now what you want to do is you want to put your foot there. You're going to put your foot down, put your needle down, sew a little bit, and then turn it. And you're going to pull that first pin. Pull that first pin out of there. Stitch it. Stop. Turn it. Pull that pin. Turn it. This one can be a little intimidating when you first do it, but once you've done it a few times, it's okay. I promise. I promise. You guys will be masters at making bears here pretty soon. Turn it. We're going to pull that pin out of there. Turn it. So again, we're going to go around that stitch again. We're going to go around that stitch again, just to make sure it's secure. You don't want an arm pulled off or a head pulled off, because you're double securing the arms when you do this too. Okay. Y'all ready to play Popple? Are we ready to play Popple? All right. Here we go, guys. We're going to come up here. Stop. Stop. Okay. So we'll do this one first. So you have it all sewed together, and then you have your backing. So this is where you actually, so you just kind of push it through the backing here. You're going to push everything through here. Flip it through, pull the legs out, and we officially have a bear, guys. We have a bear. How cute is that? How cute is that? So now we'll do the same thing again. So you have the back of the bear. So we're going to take and pull out here. Just like a popple. You're like, what is I'm going to pop out? What am I going to pop out? So now we have another bear. We have another bear. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stuff one. We're going to go ahead and stuff one. I'll show you guys how to stuff. Like I said, I'm skipping my walking to be able to stuff a bear with you guys here. So what you want to do is you want to stuff that head first. You want to stuff that head first. So that back opening is where you stuff from. So you just keep shoving into the head, shoving in, stuff, stuff, stuff. You want to stuff up into the head, and you can have it as much stuffing or as little stuffing as you want. Everybody does it a little different. You are very welcome. You are so very welcome. I'm glad you guys have joined. I'm glad you guys are enjoying everything. This has been a fun live. It's been lots of fun. See, the head is becoming a head. Is this not exciting? Exciting, exciting. So we're going to stuff this bear here. And belly. Right, Miss Savannah? I'm excited for you. You'll have to send me pictures. You'll have to send me pictures. I want to see your bear. So we're going to keep stuffing here because I want you guys to see what this bear is going to look like. I want you to see what this bear is going to look like because they turn out so cool. And it took a little longer this morning because we were you know, kind of doing some instruction and stuff. But like I said, once you get started on making bears, they go together pretty quick, White Savannah. All right, so we got that stuff. Now let's stuff the arms and the legs. We're gonna pull more out here. We're gonna pull more out. So we're gonna stuff these arms. Like I said, you have openings. You have openings on the arms. You have openings on the legs. So you can stuff all these, and then you'll have to come back and hand stitch the openings. You'll have to come back and hand stitch these openings on here. I'll have to show Savannah, I'll have to show you, because I gave you that embroidery machine, I'll have to show you how to do the eyes if you like. I know you like button eyes, but you got to learn to hand stitch. Maybe I'll have to do a live on hand stitching. Okay, I can do that, Miss Savannah. Okay, yeah, I can do a live on hand stitching. I'm not the best at it, but I can do it, so we can do a live on that one. Okay, so we got the arms all stuffed. Let's stuff these legs, and we'll see what this bear looks like. We'll see what this bear looks like. What I do is I usually just do a coordinating color of thread when I stitch up the bears. Well, yeah, hello. We got to make a bear for the baby, Miss Savannah. Miss Savannah's having a baby, so we're excited for her. Excited, excited. Gives me another grandbaby there, Miss Savannah. So it's stuff in here. That one's stuffed. We're fixing to see what this bear looks like, guys. I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay. So we officially have a bear, guys. What do you think? Is this not the coolest thing? Shall we stuff the other one? You know what? What the heck? We're going to go ahead and stuff that other one too. We'll get the other one stuffed too. You guys have officially made a bear. You have officially made a bear. He's the sweetest little thing, I'll tell you. Isn't he sweet? Oh my gosh, he's cute, cute. So let's go ahead and stuff this one. Again, like I said, you want to stuff that head first. You want to stuff the head first. So you're going to go in through the back and you're going to push up to the head. You want to get that head stuffed. Then once you get the head stuffed, you'll stuff the body and then you'll move to the arms and the legs. So we'll go in there and we'll get this one stuffed. You are very welcome. You are so welcome. I'm a people pleaser, y'all. I am totally a people pleaser, and it's exciting. I was excited yesterday. Somebody, or was it, I think it was Sunday, somebody was trying to get to 10,000 on their page, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I hopped on there and helped her get there, so I was excited. I was excited. One day I'll get there, but either way, I have fun showing you guys how to do stuff. So get in here. Almost stuffed this one. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Look at him. Is he not cute? Oh my gosh. Cute, cute, cute. You are up way too early. So yeah, I get up early, and I usually get up about 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I'll sew till 3. My husband gets up at 3 o'clock. And then I'll sit and have coffee, make his lunch, get him out the door little after 4 o'clock, and then I hop on here from 4:30 to 6:30. I'm late today because I wanted to finish the bears with you guys. And then I go work out in the morning, and then I go to work. Guys. So I got a little worried. I thought I was going to have to leave the bears this morning and go to work, but that's all right. Get this in here. And like I said, I will be reposting this video on YT. So if you're not following my YT, go give me a follow on YT, and we can get those going. So we got the belly going. Now we got arms and legs, guys. Arms and legs. Let's get some arms and legs here going. Da-doom, da-doom. Get these stuffed. I said you stuff the head, then you stuff the body. Then once you've got the body and the head stuffed, then you move and stuff the arms and the legs. So, and like I said, you stuff it as much as you want. It's up to you how much you want it stuffed. Some people like them really stuffed. Some people like them soft. I think the little babies kind of like them soft so they can grab them and chew on them or whatever. And these are totally washable. You can just throw them in the washing machine and get them all washed for yourself. Get these. Da-doom, stuff. Thanks for the likes, guys. Thanks for joining this morning. Appreciate y'all joining. We're stuffing a bear right now. We are getting a bear stuffed. We have made 2 bears this morning, y'all. We have literally made 2 bears this morning. So I am excited. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Angela. Very cool. All right. So got that arm stuffed, that arm stuffed. Now we got 2 legs left to stuff here, guys. 2 legs. And I did not do that. Y'all, I sewed legs on backwards. We have backward legs. Oh my gosh, we have backward legs. We have backward legs. I did it. Okay, that's okay. He's a cute bear anyways. I'll figure it out. I will figure that one out. I'll figure that one out. Whatever. But we have one that turned out really cool. One that turned out cool. Hey, it's mishaps that happen in sewing, right? It's mishaps that happen in sewing. So this is one. So as I said, I showed the other day. So this is one that I did that I actually added in an embroidery to the tummy. So what you would do is you would actually, before you actually sewed it together, you would actually put the embroidery on the tummy on this. This is actually, this one is actually put on with steam a seam. So I actually added it after the fact. So kind of cool, kind of cool. So, but anyways, thank you for joining the live this morning. She says thank you. Is she not cute? She says thank you. Tomorrow, if you want to join tomorrow, we will be doing learning how to Mirander. We will be doing Mirandering tomorrow on the live. So come hang out tomorrow and do some Mirandering with us. We will be Mirandering a baby quilt. We will start small. We'll start small with like a placemat or something. That way you can kind of see how it goes. But then we will actually go ahead and sandwich a baby quilt. I'll do the whole process. I'll sandwich that baby quilt so you can see. And when you Mirander, you actually use a 505 spray. You'll use a 505 spray on that. So tomorrow morning, get ready to have some fun, y'all. We've had some fun this morning. We have had some fun this morning. Thanks for making bears with us. Again, if you haven't grabbed that pattern, go grab that pattern. The link is in my bio. It's a free pattern. I put it up there free for you. It was my grandmother's pattern that she gave me. So go grab that pattern. Make yourself a bear. I will repost this on YT today. It'll be reposted this afternoon sometime. I got to wait on it to process. So thank you guys again. Thanks for joining the live. You guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. He says bye too.